We got shirts on sale. Express your love for the evolutions and the new channel rebrand with an evolution t-shirt and hoodie. On sale now. Also, if you like anime, go check out our anime channel Mystic Sage for awesome anime content. And be sure to follow me on social media so you can stay caught up with the channels and me. Links will be in the description below. Pokemon Sword and Shield were very enjoyable when they came out. Even still, I am enjoying playing them to a certain extent. That extent is the competitive aspect. I've been dabbling in competitive a little bit from time to time, and I found some Pokemon have gotten super buffed since Sword and Shield's release. These were Pokemon that were either great before and got a buff, or some Pokemon that weren't so great before and got a buff that was needed. Plus, of certain moves also being gone, some Pokemon even got buffed based on that. So with that being said, today I wanted to count down the top 10 Pokemon that got buffed in Sword and Shield. These are the Pokemon I think got the most improvements out of the ones that did. These were the ones that stuck out the most of the bunch too. Without any further ado though, let's get started. To start us off today, I want to take a look at a little group of Pokemon who have received a massive buff and a part of the game simply no longer existing. Meet Seismitoad, Quagsire, and Gastrodon. 3 Pokemon who all share the water and ground typing. These Pokemon have been buffed by the lack of grass coverage Pokemon have nowadays, with Hidden Power being a move that just no longer exists in Sword and Shield. If we were to transfer a Pokemon from Sun and Moon over to Sword and Shield, it simply wouldn't work due to a piece of code not being in the game. There are other Pokemon who have received the buff with the lack of Hidden Power in the game as well, but due to other moves being more common in Sword and Shield, they are still held back. Pokemon like Duran and Excavalier love the lack of Hidden Power Fire, but a lot of Pokemon have received access to Mystical Fire, which is first of all stronger than Hidden Power at a base power of 75, and with it being given around so much, there are a lot of Pokemon that Duran and Excav would like to take care of that can pack Mystical Fire for them. There are also the 4 times weak to Ice Dragons like Garchomp, who arrives within the DLC, and Flygon, Noivern, Flapple, and Appleton, who can avoid Hidden Power Ice, but once again, Ice coverage is not scarce in the general move pool handed out, between Ice Punch, Ice Fang, Ice Beam, etc. There are many Pokemon who still have Ice coverage, however Grass coverage has never been a massive thing, which is why I think the 3 Water Grounds, Seismitoad, Quagsire, and Gastrodon are the big winners with the removal of Hidden Power Grass. Ever since Sword and Shield came out, I can't help but feel the chills. Usually when that's the case, there is a Gengar lurking in the shadows, and it sure is this generation. With its newly acquired Nasty Plot to increase its already massive 130 base special attack stat. That's insane. Gengar's coverage has been incredible for as long as I can remember, and that is no different this generation with access to Stab, Shadow Ball, and Sludge Wave, Dazzling Gleam for dark types, Energy Ball for those water types I spoke of before, Focus Blast, Thunderbolt, and of course Icy Wind for the more Draft League enthusiastic. With such an incredible move pool, what else did this sneaky ghost and most other fragile setup sweepers earn? Well, I'll tell ya. The move Pursuit is non-existent anymore this gen either. This allows Gengar and all the other fragile ghost and psychic type Pokemon to switch freely when they are in trouble with no fear of being caught for a big base 80 power Pursuit on their way out. What's that I see over there? Oh, looks like a lovely coffee table. Nope, not at all. That's Avalugg, the king of the heavy-duty boots. With the new buff to Rapid Spin, giving it a +1 in speed without having to suffer the 25% from Stealth Rocks and what other shenanigans is on the field, on top of the already incredible Rapid Spin buff that not only Avalugg got, but other Pokemon like Excadrill and another Pokemon we'll talk about later on this list, Avalugg also got access to Body Press. Body Press is a new move in Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is a fighting type attack with base 80 power that works the opposite of Psyshock. Instead of using a stat to attack, the opposite, Body Press, uses the user's defense stat as the attack stat. And Avalugg has defense to spare. A massive base 184 defense to be exact. A Body Press from this Pokemon will most certainly pack a punch, and I for one am really happy that our defensive Pokemon are finally getting access to a proper damaging move. Soaring over the wrestling ring and flying pressing its way onto this list is the wrestling Pokemon Hawlucha. With the introduction of Gen 8, you would think that this Pokemon has received quite the nerf, with the Tapus no longer being with us. But that's not the case. Hawlucha has just made some new friends, and an alternate set. Pinkerton is there for spikes, and Electric Surge to set up electric terrain. Indeedee F is fantastic in doubles of Psychic Surge for the psychic terrain. Eventually down the line as well, we'll also have Rillaboom's hidden ability Grassy Surge available to us too, for that grassy terrain. But for now, Hawlucha is back back to its Gen 6 set of Power Herb, Sky Attack, and with that Unburden ability for its speed, which is nothing new. Now, I'm sure some of you are asking to get to the point already, and I will. In Generation 8, Hawlucha got access to its most powerful fighting type move for stab. Close Combat joins this Wrestler Bird's moveset, and to be quite frank, I'm very happy about it. I mean, it's a wrestler. You'd think Hawlucha would be an expert in close combat, but it took its 3rd generation appearance to finally get access to this move, which means Hawlucha can finally pack a proper punch, and not just with acrobatics. For years, we've been asking why doesn't Blastoise use its cannons, and that is still something it doesn't do. But what Blastoise has learned is to smash that shell apart to become just a bit more offensive with Shell Smash. Blastoise is a fan favorite Pokemon, just like Game Freak loves Charizard, and our turtle pal has been overshadowed by that enlarged flaming lizard for too long. But this gen, Blastoise finally got some recognition, and with its Gigantamax form on the horizon, Blastoise is proving to be a big threat in the upcoming months of the game. There is defensive Blastoise with Iron Defense and Body Press, like I mentioned back when we were talking about Avalugg, another Body Press Rapid Spin Pokemon. But more importantly, there is the Shell Smash variant with moves like Scald, Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, Aura Sphere, Dark Pulse, Flash Cannon, Focus Blast, Dragon Pulse. Blastoise also has access to moves like Power Up Punch, Liquidation, Outrage, Earthquake, Zen Headbutt, Rock Slide, Avalanche, and Ice Punch. Physical, special, and even defensive Blastoise got a huge buff this gen, and it makes me happy to see the other starters getting some love finally. Transforming itself into the number 5 spot, we have the transform Pokemon Ditto. And what can I say about Ditto that I haven't already said? Well, in Smogon, Ditto is OU, which is new for this pink blob, which says quite a bit about the Pokemon it can become. This generation has given Ditto many great targets to transform into. There's Bisharp, Cinderace, Conkeldurr, a setup Corviknight, Dracovish, Dragapult, Excadrill, Gengar, Hydreigon, the list goes on and on. This means that Ditto's potential is as good as the metagame it's used in. And for that in this generation, I consider it a huge buff, with all the other buffs that already exist below this spot and even those above. From the mountains of Sinnoh, with a highly mastered Inner Focus, we meet the Aura Pokemon Lucario, who thanks to its ability, Inner Focus has gotten a pretty substantial buff. This spot can easily be shared by many Scrappy, Oblivious, and Own Tempo Pokemon too, for this new buff to some abilities. But Lucario has a few things on top of the ability buff, and a few other fun things for VGC, which I'll briefly go over too. But to start things off, Inner Focus, Scrappy, Oblivious, and Own Tempo have all been buffed to ignore Intimidate, which is incredible. Being able to set up and not fearing that attack reduction is pretty big. What this means is that the physical Swords Dance set for Lucario will begin to shred even more lives, with such a vast move pool like Lucario having access to Blaze Kick, Close Combat, Meteor Mash, Crunch, Earthquake, Extreme Speed, High Jump Kick, Ice Punch, Poison Jab, Rock Slide, Zen Headbutt, and plenty more. There is also the VGC strat, with Lucario going Dynamax with the ability Justified, hitting Lucario with Whimsicott or another fast Pokemon using Beat Up to make Lucario a +4 attacker turn 1. Back to Smogon on the special side though, Lucario received quite the buff too. I know not everyone is a fan of Recoil, but Lucario got access to the new move Steel Beam, which is a base 140 power steel type special attack that sacrifices 50% of the max HP to do tremendous damage, which between Flash Cannon, which is a base 80 power special move, and Steel Beam makes the difference between a KO and potentially getting a special defense drop before falling over yourself. From Generation 4 to 5, we have the Axe-Jaw Pokemon Haxorus, who also this generation got a bit of a buff. What a surprise, am I right? Another buff on a top 10 buffs list. But as I was saying, Haxorus has gotten a pretty significant buff this gen, on top of its already incredible moveset consisting of Dragon Dance, Aqua Tail, Crunch, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Night Slash, Poison Jab, Psycho Cut, Rock Slide, Superpower, and X-Scissor. Haxorus has now gotten access to Priority First Impression, and what if First Impression Haxorus leaves? Upon entering battle, Haxorus gets a speed priority of 2, only outplaced by moves like Feint and Protect, to hit its opponents for a massive base 90 power physical move. Coming from Haxorus in its great base 147 attack, and possibly even holding a Choice Band, that's really got to sting. But First Impression isn't the only move buff given to this Axe-Jaw Pokemon, no. In this gen, Haxorus can swap out Superpower and say goodbye to those attack drops with Close Combat in its place. Although Superpower and Close Combat both share the base 120 120 power, Superpower has the downside of lowering the user's attack and defense, while Close Combat lowers the defense and special defense, meaning you can dish out more consistent damage. Now, I just can't make a list and not talk about an evolution when there is one. Sylveon has gotten a noticeable buff to its move pool this gen, and the evolution fan within me is smiling with glee. As you all know, Sylveon is a fairy type, and fairy types have two weaknesses, those being poison and steel. Now for poison types, at least Sylveon has access to Psyshock, and even stored power, if you want to have a bit of fun with a setup version of Sylveon. And for the rare poison/dark types, a well-placed Pixelate Hyper Voice will do a fair chunk of damage. For steel types, Sylveon has had to rely on Hidden Power Fire since Kalos, but that isn't even an option anymore. Luckily for this intertwining Pokemon, it has gotten itself access to the new move, Mystical Fire, like I spoke briefly about when I mentioned the Hidden Power Gone winners. Some, if not most Fairy-type Pokemon, have received a huge and new handy tool to rid themselves of those pesky steel types, and with Magnezone and Metagross on the horizon, they're gonna need it. Mystical Fire, like I talked about before, is a base 75 power special Fire-type move, which lowers the target's special attack step by one stage, and that can sure come in handy against quite a few Pokemon like Magnezone, Special Lucario. Even if it isn't super effective, it does lower Duraludon's special attack, and of course, Special Aegislash. Mystical Fire is a very welcome addition to Sylveon's move pool. The king of the new buff is one you have to dive into Ubers to play, but I'll be honest with you, this Pokemon needed it so badly, it's unfair that it had to wait so long to get the respect it deserves. And even so, there is still like one or two things missing, but I can't simply ignore this buff. In my opinion, winner of the Gen 8 buff is easily Kyurem-Black. For so long, we've been asking for Kyurem-Black to have a physical ice move. I mean, look at that frozen arm. Why can't he punch with it? That is still something Game Freak has not allowed this beefy boy to do. But that isn't as important as Kyurem now having access to Dragon Dance, a move which boosts the user's attack and speed by one stage. With a massive 170 attack stat and a relatively fast base 95 speed stat, the access to Boostos makes Kyurem-Black insane. And I know it said it can't punch with that arm, but Kyurem has gotten access to Icicle Spear, a multi-hit physical ice move with the base power of 25 per hit. Kyurem can finally break loose and have some fun. Looking at its physical move pool, we have Dragon Claw, Fusion Bolt, Icicle Spear, Iron Head, Rock Slide, Shadow Claw, Stone Edge, Zen Headbutt, and if you want to have a bit more fun, there's always Power Herb Free Shock too. Well, that pretty much wraps up the top 10 Pokemon that got a buff in Sword and Shield. All these Pokemon are now monsters, and I can't wait to see them perform even better once more Pokemon step up to the plate from the DLCs. What Pokemon do you like that got buffed though? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream a lot of Pokemon content and all kinds of other Nintendo content like Zelda, Fire Emblem, and much more. Also, I've been reviewing every episode of My Hero Academia Season 4 over on Mystic Sage, so head over there if you're into that too. I would love that a lot. Want to support me further in game called Perks? Check out my Patreon. Daniel Leone, Lady Crimson, Memory Martin, The Lazy Leo, Matthew Young, Awesome Lego, Jarrett Weiss Austin, Sodden Grider, Nigma97, and Kermit117 did, and I want to thank them personally for going above and beyond. It means the world to me. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mr. Gumbrian, and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.